Hello and welcome to week 8. Is it week 8? Week 8 of the Life in Quarantine podcast. My name is Nick.
My name is Ian.
And hopefully, like I said last episode, we're getting down to the end of the quarantine stuff. So hopefully someday we'll once again be able to return to doing our little podcast in person.
I don't know. I kind of like not being around you.
Oh, fuck off. You get some better internet, damn it. You keep freezing up. You haven't frozen up on me yet, but
my internet's fine. It's right. I checked it. I even checked it again before we started.
That's what everyone always says.
My
internet's fine. I don't know what's going on. So last episode I was drinking some nice root beer from Bill's Hot Dogs in Ipsy. And today this episode I'm drinking a little Two Hearted. Trying to mix it up, you know.
Yeah. No, the last time I was at the grocery store, I went down the beer aisle. I was like, oh, I really want some, but I just didn't.
Two Hearted is so good if you're into IPAs, but
I'm into stouts and porters.
It's this is actually the first beer I've probably had in probably like a solid 8 months, maybe a year.
It's been a while for me too. That's probably why I was craving it. It was just because I don't usually go down the beer aisle.
Yeah.
But I did, and it wasn't like accidental. I was like, ooh, beer, but I just didn't. They had a couple of the beers that I like, so
at least I'm keeping it local. You know, Bell's is from Comstock, Michigan, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the beers I like is brewed in Rochester Hills.
Okay.
So.
But yeah, it was weird. I was grocery shopping with Mandy last week, and we were going through the store, and I was like, I feel like picking up some Two Hearted.
Not a bad choice. I do like Two Hearted too. It's not a bad beer.
It's not like the bitterness of beer is measured off of IBUs. So the higher the IBU, the more bitter it is. So Two Hearted is not bad because it's not like a super bitter beer. I don't like. Right. I don't know. Some people love that, you know, like a really high IBU, but I kind of stay away from it.
Yeah.
Like
I just like the dark beers, the thick coffee flavor type beers.
See, I don't like any of that kind of shit. I don't like coffee or none of that garbage. So.
Well, it's not garbage to you. You just don't like it, but you don't have to call it garbage. Why you gotta be so harsh, man? Why are you so negative?
Negative Nancy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're bringing me down, man. You're bringing the show down.
Whatever, you jackass.
Hey, we need some positivity, Nick. These trying times.
I am positivity. I shit rainbows, man.
I didn't freeze, just for the record.
You jackass.
You shit something. It ain't rainbows.
So what's been going on, man?
Same old.
How's your COVID life been treating you?
Same as it always does.
It's weird though. So like Ian and I work together, but shit, I don't fucking see your ass anymore.
I know. Well, because the way they're staffing, it's different than it used to be. So it's
yeah.
You know, the spots where we're working isn't always the same as it used. It's done differently. So
yeah.
So we're either going to see each other for like 8 hours in a shift, or we're not going to see each other at all for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. So it's been strange, especially we've been doing this show since January of 2017, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm used to seeing you like pretty regularly for several years now. So
right. Yeah, at the very least every 2 weeks, if not, in between with work and stuff. But yeah, it's I mean, that's probably the most that my life has been altered. Well, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but as far as my social life goes, it's probably the most my life's been altered, because I'm not a very social person. So,
do you feel like all of this has caused everyone to be a little more tech savvy?
what's that?
So do you feel like the whole COVID and the staying home and the non-socialization, things like that, do you feel like it's made people be more tech savvy?
Um, maybe to a degree. I mean, to be honest, because of what we're doing here, we really kind of had to scramble and kind of analyze our setup and adjust our stuff
Yeah.
and learn and kind of learn new ways of doing this to a point.
Which I feel like we
So
learned pretty quickly, and
yeah,
we put together pretty fast.
yeah. The first two episodes we did in quarantine, I don't think turned out very good, at least on my
No.
end.
No, the sound quality wasn't super great.
So, but once we got the hang of it and got figured out, yeah, I mean it's
Well, and I mean, like, so now you've got a lot of people that are working from home, working remotely, so they've had to learn new programs, learn new ways to do things. A lot of people are doing a lot more on their phones as far as like work wise and new apps and new programs. So they're kind of being inundated with all this new technology that they've had to kind of learn on the fly. So I wonder if that's like kind of bringing some people up to speed to the 21st century, you know?
yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see because I mean we're still technically in it, so it'd be interesting to see, 6 months, 8 months, a year from now, where people are at and what the long term
Mm-hmm.
alterations to normal life, what what the new normal will be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I'm sure because I would imagine that maybe some people who are older and not tech savvy, not very tech savvy, have had to learn new techniques in
Yeah.
order to keep in touch with family members and shit like
Yeah.
that. So
I think
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
I think there's going to be a lot of jobs that kind of never return to what they were before. I think there's going to be some people that will work from home for the rest of their careers.
Right. Well, even us, I think there's been changes that have occurred within our setting, being a hospital, that are never going to be different. They're never going to change
Yeah.
from what they've been changed to now, for better or
At,
worse. I'm sure
at
there's some that
least,
we won't be happy about, but they'll just become normal. And
yeah.
then there's some things I think that have been proved in terms of how our flow is. We'll have to see.
The way our job operates and
Yeah.
I feel like things have become more efficient in some ways.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily in our job. I feel like in society in general, I think you're seeing where you've got some bigger corporations that are looking at their workforce differently, and they're saying, look, we can save on actual floor space by not having people physically present in this building. They can work remotely from home and actually save them a lot of money. So I think that's why I think you're going to see over the next decade or so huge shifts in the way at least the way the American civilization operates.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure there's going to be some bad with the good. There always is. Whenever you have a huge change like this.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait and see and weigh the consequences.
Yeah. Yeah. With everything, you always have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know.
But I think it's gonna be interesting. I don't know, because I deal with people in my personal life who struggle with technology, and I see that they've kind of grown a little bit in new ways to use computers and technology, and I don't know. So I'm assuming that's probably more of a widespread thing than you might think.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's difficult to say because Americans have a tendency to make bare minimum adjustments to their lives when they absolutely have to, and really have no problem reverting right back to their old ways. So, but this is like I said, this is all new, and it will be interesting to see going forward how much really changes.
Yeah, I think people are going to be. I think people are going to look at smartphones differently for sure.
Yeah, social distancing, I think, is going to become. It should become a new norm, to a degree. I mean, it doesn't have to be the extreme that we're dealing with, but it should become a new norm. But if you look at some of these places that are already opening up, the bars are crowded, the beaches are crowded. So it's just back to normal. It's like, nothing fucking happened.
So I saw a poll. I don't know if I was talking to you about it, or I might have been talking to Mandy about it, or recently I was talking to somebody about it. I don't remember, but I saw a poll where it was talking about the way that Republicans versus Democrats view social distancing and masks in particular. Yeah. And the poll that I saw said roughly like overwhelming majority, it was well over 80% of Democrats felt comfortable wearing masks and would voluntarily wear masks while they're out in public. And on the flip side of that, it was like 18 or 21% of Republicans said the same thing. So an overwhelming majority of those people that you probably see in those videos out at bars, out crowd beaches, are of one political mindset.
So it's hard to say though, because I mean, with the bar situation, it's a lot of younger, like say 21, 22, 23-year-olds. And
I don't know, the videos I saw, they weren't. They looked like they were like in their 30s at least, but.
Well, I mean, relatively speaking to us, it's still on the youthful side. I'd give anything to be fucking 30 again.
Couple of old bastards.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, there's just this element of unknown that we're at right now. And I'm optimistic because regardless of what political shit's going on, everything has a tendency to just kind of normalize to a degree. But that being said, we're now 4 years into very new territory, as far as I'm concerned. A political structure that is we've never fucking seen before. And then you throw the virus and the social distancing and the quarantine into that mix. I never would have expected to see the things that we've seen in the last, say, 5 years.
Yeah.
In my lifetime. I just never would have guessed. It never would have crossed my mind.
Oh, you mean like somebody being shot in the back of the head for telling them they can't come into the store for wearing a mask because if they don't have a mask on?
Or a president who gets away with firing people who just don't agree with him, including people who are investigating his friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, so blatantly. I mean, shit like that always happens, but never happens so fucking blatantly.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's we do have a topic this episode.
Yes, we do, and it kind of ties into what we've been talking about in terms of going forward.
You mean talking about for the past 2 months?
Right, but going, like I said, going forward as far as that goes. So, do you want to say the topic, or do you want me?
Yeah. So a couple of episodes ago, we looked at how COVID has impacted the music industry, right? So in this episode, we're going to look at kind of the opposite side of that and look at how COVID has impacted Hollywood.
Well, and I think with music, there's obviously an impact. We discussed it, but I think with Hollywood, because it's so much more interactive in terms of, theatrical releases, if the movie theaters are closed, these movies that cost the studio, in some cases, $100 million or more, and their release date was set for a reason, to maximize the amount of people who get into the seats. And then that just goes away. And without knowing exactly when you're going to be able to open these films, the financial uncertainty I think is even heavier and more detrimental to Hollywood than it would be to the music industry, because music industry can be a bit more fluid, especially the music industry has
especially
already
with
had
artists.
This. Yeah, it's already had this the danger flashes from pirating and everything else, which movies do too, but the late 90s and early 2000s, when music downloads were happening, the music industry suffered major financial losses. They've kind of come to a point where they can kind of navigate this stuff better, whereas the Hollywood and the film industry, not at all.
The music industry had to evolve, and the movie industry really hasn't evolved in 100 years. But it's interesting though,
it hasn't had to, right?
Just the film industry alone it's estimating a $20 billion loss for this year.
20 billion?
$20 billion.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And that same industry was expected to generate a little over $2 trillion globally this year. So you're going from generating $2 trillion, it was 2.3 trillion, but anyway, about $2 trillion to actually losing $20 billion. That's a
huge loss.
That's huge loss.
Right.
Well, but you've got movies like Black Widow, which were supposed to come out this month, I believe.
Yeah, I think.
And last time I looked, it was it May? Yeah, well, it is May.
I know, I had to think about it.
So it was supposed to come out this month. Last time I looked, it had been indefinitely postponed. So because originally it said I think it was November. They don't even know if that's going to happen now.
No, in fact, I think I heard something that Disney is probably planning on pushing most of their tentpole stuff to next year.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens, just to guarantee that obviously the maximum amount of people show up. Yeah. Because at this point, everything opens up end of May. At least that's the plan. By June 1st, the vast majority of the country is going to be moving forward towards being completely open. They're still doing it in phases, but it's still, most things are going to be open. The movie theaters are supposed to be opening up the first week of June. However, you have to take into account that even though they're saying we can go to the movie theaters and the movie theaters can be open, that doesn't mean people are going to go, right? Because they're going to be afraid, potentially afraid.
And rightfully so.
So the reason, or not the reason, but the one film that I know of that has not been moved from its original date is Christopher Nolan's Tenet.
Yeah.
And I think every movie studio, every movie exec, everybody is going to be watching Tenet to see what kind of numbers it does. Because it is a Christopher Nolan movie. Christopher Nolan brings people in. His movies, even when they're not, like Dunkirk. Dunkirk did quite well for what type of movie it was.
It was actually a really good movie.
It was a really good movie. But movies like that don't typically make the kind of money that Dunkirk made.
No, yeah.
It did well because it was him. And there's a lot of buzz around Tenet. So people are going to be watching this and seeing, and I think regardless of what happens, if there's not another surge, or at least if there's not a surge and they don't shut everything down again going forward, I have a feeling you might see some alterations to that. Disney may decide to start bringing some of those tentpole movies back into this year, maybe in November, late December, if Tenet does well. But if it doesn't do well, you're going to see other movies canceling. Movies that have not been.
It's not going to be able to go well. First off, because when these movie theaters open back up, theoretically next month, they're only going to have a capacity of what, 25%? Because I was hearing
up to 50%.
Well,
all the restaurants are 50%.
Well, from what I was reading, they had to be like everyone would have to be 3 seats apart. So,
like I said, I was estimating 50 because based on what the restaurants are doing, restaurants are much smaller in smaller areas, granted, but I was here. The restaurants are going to be given a 50% capacity maximum. Same with bars. So bars and restaurants, I would assume the movie theaters will have the same.
Okay, but what I'm saying though is, Ian, if you think about it, If you have to have 3 seats in between everyone, that's 1 out of 4 seats filled. That's 25%
What I'm saying
capacity.
is if it's not 25%, if it's 50%,
that's well
1 seat. It's 2 seats for every 4, rather than 1.
Well, they said everyone would have to be 6 feet apart. So 6 feet is going to be roughly 3 chairs in between.
Right.
So still, even at 50%, even if you want to go on the high end at 50%, that means best case scenario, you're only going to make 50% of what you would make before in that same run.
However, Tenet has no competition whatsoever. There will be no other movies in the theater.
It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't matter because you can still only fit somewhere between 25 and 50% of the people in those same theaters.
Right. But if you have 20 screens showing one movie,
you're not going to. People aren't going to go see that many. They aren't going to have that many people going to see the movie. Guarantee it. It's just not going to happen.
We don't know.
Because you're still going to have a vast majority of people that rightfully, what I feel is rightfully so, not going to want to put themselves in that kind of situation.
Right. It's hard to say. It's difficult to predict. If the big money people can't predict it, then I don't know how you and I could. However, it's just one of those things. It's going to be the barometer by which everything is judged going forward. Because there's a lot of movies. Well, for instance, what was the movie that was moved to September? I don't remember. There's a movie that was moved to September that tentatively that I think they were looking at 2 separate dates, and I forgot how it was worded because you can't really pick 2 dates for a release, but it was September unless Tenet fails. And if Tenet fails, they're moving it to next year.
Yeah.
But then you move into October, there's quite a few big hits coming out in October, movies that were moved to October, in fact, too.
I don't think you're going to see that.
What, October?
Yeah. So, because October is going to be the beginning of flu season.
True.
So
here's the thing. Do you think the movie chains, even the theater chains, do you think they can survive going till next year without having any movies in the theater? Do you really think the movie theaters can survive that?
I think even with movie theaters opening back up at partial capacity next month, a vast majority of them are going to close. AMC's already pretty much guaranteed that they're going to file bankruptcy. So you're going to see bigger chain kind of just drying up.
Well, really, anyway. AMC, Imagine are the 2 biggest chains in the country. So,
Carmike is in trouble too.
Is that a big national chain though?
Yep.
Is that?
That they are.
Yeah,
because you got to look at it this way though, because movie theaters have razor thin margins. They're not
already
making big,
right.
Yeah, they make profit off of volume, and they make profit off of concessions. So when you don't have that, even at partial capacity, for even 3-4 months, that's going to hurt you. Not only, and it's not only going to hurt you this year, it's going to hurt them in 2021. It's going to hurt them in 2022. There's going to be it's going to take, I say 3 to 5 years for a lot of these chain movie companies to kind of right their ship financially because of this. See, and that's if there's not, I still feel that come this fall, there's going to be another shutdown.
I don't think our economy can survive another shutdown, period. The economy in general.
I mean, it's economy be damned, man. I worry more about the health and safety of people.
You are in the minority, my friend.
Oh, I know that. And
the people who don't give a shit are the ones in power, and will be at least until January.
You say that until a couple of million people die. And then.
Well, you tell me. I mean, what is the difference between 100,000, which is what we're probably at now, if not by the 1st of June? What is the difference between 100,000 and a million?
A big difference.
No,
because here's the thing. Because
not when you're talking about life.
Ian, you have to look at it this way. There's a lot of people out there, people that I know, that say, to the virus be damned, we need to open the country back up, get back to work, get this economy moving, until their grandfather dies, until their mother dies, until one of their kids die.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go from, right now we're about 85 to 90,000 deaths, if that number skyrockets to 2.5 million people, that's a lot more people that are going to be impacted. That's a lot more people. There's a lot more people that had that mentality to go out to the bar in Wisconsin or go hang out at the beach in Florida. They're going to have mothers die, fathers die, children die, aunts and uncles die, be more personally impacted, that will change the way they think about that shit. Because it's all fun and games until their family members start dying.
Yeah. You say that, but because ultimately what happens is the way things are now, the people I was talking about who are in control right now, they're saying the economy needs to get going. We need to get this going.
Which I agree to a certain extent.
And they're also the ones who are shooting down economic plans to help people who are already being hurt. They're shooting them down without even really paying any attention. They're giving them no consideration whatsoever. They're basically dead on arrival. We've heard that.
That's because they believe that once the economy starts going, and they could be right. A lot of those, a lot of those 36 million people are going to go right back to work. A good chunk of them will. But
I mean, we're talking about a lot of small business jobs that are going to be gone. They're just.
And that's
gone.
why I said if there's another stimulus package that gets put in place, it's going to be, 4 to 6 weeks from now, once the economy has opened back up, that once there starts to be more of an organic push from the citizens of this country, because they're not being able to make their mortgage payment or their car payment or put food on their table. There needs to be more of a grassroots push to make the people in power make changes. And that's why I said, I think if we get to the point where, multiple millions of people have died from this, I think you're going to see more of there's going to be more of a push to look at, we need to take care of the health of our citizens before we look at the health of our economy. The economy will come back. Even if we have another,
it could take 10 years though. 12 years.
It could. If we have, 60 million people dying in the United States, it's going to take a lot longer for the economy to come back.
Well, it's 60 million people who don't need jobs.
It's really fucked up.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to be glib. I'm saying that because that's true. If you've got a dwindling population, which 60 million is a huge chunk of the population,
it would be.
That's just more opportunity for jobs for people who didn't have jobs before, who are still alive, of course.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't trying to be glib there.
If it gets to like plague conditions where you've got, bodies everywhere piling up, trust me, man, even if there's 60 million people that are dead and there's all those jobs out there, people aren't going to want to leave their fucking house to go do it.
Right. But they're going to end up starving to death if they don't.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Because even a stimulus package, you still have to go out and buy your fucking groceries.
Technically, you'll have to go out and buy your groceries.
Yeah, but those people who are afraid to leave their house, same people are afraid to deliver to those houses. When you're talking, especially if they have to walk over 10 dead bodies to get to your house.
I know.
I mean, look how bad the whole delivery system has been affected this time.
Oh, I know.
Even ordering food, it could take 2 to 3 weeks to get food.
So Jack works at a pizza place in town, and if you order pizza from them, they don't give you a time when your pizza is going to be delivered. They tell you we're going to deliver it as soon as we can, just because it's one of those things where you're right. It's everything is so backlogged as far as delivery wise. They can't tell you a solid time,
Right. And I was even talking about ordering groceries and stuff and having that shit.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. That's same thing. It's the same thing. With Kroger, if you go on ClickList, the earliest you can get a delivery slot is like 2.5, 3 weeks away.
Right. Well, I ordered from Sam's Club, and it took 10 days to get my order, which I didn't think was too bad considering. So
I just go pick it up.
Yeah, you have a little bit more flexibility in your schedule as far as daytime goes. When I get off of work, I need to go to bed because if I have to be back to work,
Hey man, I don't make you work those ugly ass overnight shifts.
I wasn't blaming you for making me work those shifts. I like those shifts, but it does cause a little bit of difficulty navigating daytime operations.
because a lot of places that used to be open later, past 10 o'clock at night are now closing at 8 or 9.
Exactly. Meyer is a 24-hour gig. It's not right now.
Nope.
So,
neither's Walmart or anything else.
Yeah, any of them. None of
Shit,
them.
even McDonald's closes at like midnight or something like that now.
Midnight, I think, yeah.
So, which sucks because there for a while, McDonald's was around this thing where healthcare workers got free meals, one free meal a day. So, like one of the first days they had the promo going on, I was like, well, sweet, I can stop at McDonald's on my way home. So I normally drive by McDonald's at like 3:40 in the morning. I drove by and it was all black. I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm not getting breakfast this morning.
Nope. So, but
first world problems right there, man.
Yeah, I know.
I missed out on my free meal.
Well, I had that exact same argument earlier but about there's a lot of talk about depression and all this stuff going because people are quarantined, and I get it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
But I just started thinking about, I'm like, there's people in this country right now, and not to mention around the world, who literally are like have no food. They're starving to death and have been even before the fucking virus. And you're depressed because you can't go outside and play with your friends.
Well, I mean, depression's a real thing, man. I mean, it
is a real thing.
And even with like, and
I think there's a lack of perspective.
You know what though, man? It's really easy to say things like that when you're not in that situation. It's the same thing with addicts. Recovering addicts, recovering alcoholics, who regularly go to AA meetings or NA meetings, who because of this aren't able to go to that.
Right.
So
I noticed there's a lot of hotlines being broadcast
and there is some virtual AA meetings and stuff you can go to, and but and I've gone to one before because I was just finishing up my mental health class, and it was one of the things we had to do for the class was attend an AA meeting. So I went to one of these online ones, and it was like, person after person after person that talked. One of the first things they talked about was the isolation, that they fear. And this was in the early days of the stay-at-home orders and everything else. And so I can only imagine where it's at now and how many of those people have relapsed as a result of this. So that's I understand that there are people out there starving, but there are also other.
I didn't mean to diminish it. I'm just saying because I get it, and it just you kind of have this weird duplicity in your way of thinking, because Americans have it pretty fucking easy as far as a lot of other countries in this world. Yeah. And yes, mental health issues are real, but I don't know. Like I said, it's this weird back and forth that I have in my head that it's like, yes, I get it. That's a real thing, and it really needs to be treated. But, this little child in Ethiopia who hasn't had a meal in a decent meal in their entire life, living in mud huts. What I mean, you understand what I'm saying, right? It's not. I'm not trying to be coarse.
What I'm saying though is one isn't more important than the other.
No, but one suffers very
equally.
Differently.
It's an equal suffering. Trust me, man. People that suffer from addictions and mental illnesses and depression have things that they go through that a normal individual can't comprehend.
I understand that, but I think we're agreeing. I'm agreeing with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But we have networks in this country. We can have a virtual AA meeting.
Yeah, but just because something is
nothing. They have nothing.
Even though something is available doesn't make it work.
I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying that there are options for us.
You know,
for them.
You can say that also. You can say, look, if you live in the desert, don't live in the desert. I'm not making that argument. I'm just saying you can make that argument.
I guess, but like I said, I'm not diminishing these issues.
It sounds like you are.
Well, you can think what you want and you put words in my mouth. I'm not diminishing that. I'm literally I'm looking at the broad picture here. I'm not looking at individual situations. I'm looking at a bigger picture. Doesn't make what I'm saying any more important or any it makes me right and you wrong. I'm just saying that, you know, sometimes a little perspective is required. Sometimes.
Yeah. I think
you can't tell me I'm wrong.
I think far too often people try to put themselves in other people's situations where they don't understand. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, to be fair, you've done that yourself.
How is that?
Calling alcoholism a character flaw?
Rather than a character flaw.
You have said that.
I would say
you have literally said that to me.
And it's the same thing with I will say this about alcoholism, and the same with drug addiction. Is it's hard to see it as a disease when you make the conscious effort to drink, or you make the conscious effort to put a needle in your arm. That's a conscious effort. You know, once it becomes a compulsion, it takes on a different breed. It's a whole different animal.
Fair enough, but you yourself have called it a character flaw. Therefore, the flaw was there for them to start.
I will say in the beginning process, I wouldn't say it's a character flaw, but
those are your words. I'm using your words.
Okay,
those were your words.
I don't know when I said that, but okay, it is a flaw for sure, absolutely. Because I mean, there's lots of people in this world that can maybe not shoot heroin, but do lots of other drugs and not have zero addiction issues with it. Right. But it's once it becomes a compulsion that it takes on a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, like I said, I mean, I wasn't trying to diminish anyone's issues because I'm not them. I'm not in their shoes. I can't speak for them. I'm just saying that you can't consider yourself to have empathy if you don't look at everybody's suffering
equally.
Well, but it's not equal.
It is equal. It is equal to that. Equal. It's equal to the individual. Trust me. You could, as someone, let's say you're an alcoholic, you look at your alcoholism equally as difficult as the person that doesn't have food to eat. To the individual, the suffering is equal.
Right.
They might not compare their suffering equal to somebody else's, but to the individual, it's equal.
No. I just don't think we're ever going to be able to make any difference unless we have perspective too.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, what I don't want to, I think you get yourself into a trap when you say, well, I understand this is happening, but this over here is even worse than what's going on over here.
Right. Like I said, I don't want to diminish anyone's suffering, because if I'm not suffering the way they are, I can't completely understand what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no question about that. So,
they are all issues.
Yeah. Well, they're all issues that no one's doing anything about anyway.
No, exactly.
So,
did my screen just get brighter?
I don't know.
I waved my hand. I think the lighting changed on my screen.
Well, I think in the background you're getting the glow from your screen.
My head's a little shiny.
That's what happens when you go bald.
Well, let's get back to our topic, man, before we get sidetracked.
We got sidetracked big time. I don't know. I was watching a video the other day, and they were breaking down the setup, and it was based on an article that was written. I don't know, it was a Hollywood Reporter. It was one of the trade magazines, and the execs are looking at it, I guess, optimistically, and they're thinking that
I think they have
by September, even with the social distancing in place, they're expecting any movie that's been scheduled thus far to come out on schedule through the end of the year, barring any major catastrophe.
Uh-huh.
However, the overall financial loss for the year already,
it's going to be
catastrophic. And it's affected television as well but not on the same level, but in the sense that it's going to be more of a retroactive effect because they have to wait so long to start filming.
Yep.
And a lot of television series didn't even have time to finish their seasons.
Correct. Yep. I was going to get to that. Because there's a couple that I watch that ended 1 or 2 episodes early.
Right. Because they hadn't been finished filming.
Yeah. Superstore is one of them. I know that America Ferrera wasn't going to come back for the next season.
Right. She's supposed to be leaving. Yeah.
And so they kind of the last couple episodes of I don't know. Do you watch it at all?
I love that show. I haven't watched the newer episodes.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty much caught up through the end of last year, so the middle of the season.
All right. Well, yeah, I binge watched the last season. I don't know, a couple weeks back, but
I love that show.
It's really easy. They're short episodes, so you can get through them pretty quick. But so they're kind of building up for her to lead the show, and because they had to kind of cut the season, they did cut the season short. I think by 1 episode. Because of that, she agreed to do one more season, or at least part of the next season, to kind of finish off her arc of the show.
That's good because, like I said, I'm way behind. I'm probably 13 episodes behind.
Yeah.
Because I watch it on Hulu.
Yeah.
It tells me how many episodes I have to go. So I wasn't even sure how they were going to write her out because as far as last I saw, not to give spoilers away for anyone who hasn't seen it, but her and what's his name were still dating, and so they write her out. That means they have to break up and all that fun stuff. So I'm assuming, unless he's going to.
That's kind of what that's where it was building to. But I mean,
because I didn't hear he was leaving the show. I thought he was
I don't think he was leaving the show, and that's why I don't know. I don't know if they changed the story for the last couple episodes because they knew that the shutdown was going to happen and they weren't going to be able to finish the season, or what happened. But I'm going to sprinkle some magic dust on Ian's screen to see if I get unfreeze. Are you there, Ian?
Is it must frozen? It's not frozen.
There you go.
See, it's funny when you say I freeze, you freeze.
Yeah, because it's freezing on your end, so we're both freezing.
So how do you know that it's not freezing on your end and we're both freezing?
Because it's not freezing on my end.
It's not freezing on my end. I'm not frozen. You're frozen. So you're saying it's the same way. It could be your internet. Don't blame me if
It probably isn't. It probably isn't my internet.
Oh, it's of course not. It can never be your internet.
I will say this, Ian. I do probably 5 Zoom calls a week on this computer. I never have freezing issues. Now, I will say when I used my laptop over Wi-Fi, it does freeze on occasion. But my computer's hardwired into the internet, and I never have any issues with it.
Oh well, where I record, I can't hardwire it, so it's got to go Wi-Fi. So it could be my internet, but nothing's going to change because there's no way for me to hardwire the internet. So
no, it's not that big of a deal. You froze up for a second. I kind of made some jokes at your behalf, but
Oh, So it's just as if I was not frozen.
It's like you're sitting right here, and I can just kind of make fun of you.
Yeah. That's what you miss. You don't miss me being there.
I miss my punching bag.
Miss making fun of me to my.
Yeah.
You miss making fun of me to my face.
I forgot where I was going. Oh, we were talking about Superstore and all that.
Yeah, I didn't know you liked Superstore.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, it really is. I like it a lot.
It took me like, I don't know, the first half of the first season to kind of get into it, but yeah, I like it.
I was actually pretty much sold on it by the third episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the first.
So, did you notice though?
The first season was only like 10 episodes. So.
Well, yeah. Did you notice though the second season? Because is it the first season with the tornado, or is it the third season?
I believe the tornado was the end of the.
Or no. The strike. The strike's the end of the first season. They go on strike.
Yeah.
So the end of the season, they go on strike, but the next episode has nothing to do with the strike, at least as far as Hulu has it. So like the next episode, season 1, episode 2, is like a one-off episode, and then the strike starts in season 2, episode 2.
No, it kind of like goes back and explains what happened.
No, there's nothing to do. I've watched it 3 times. There's nothing to do with the strike.
Yeah, it does. Beginning of season 2 does.
No.
I watched it not that long ago, Ian.
I watched it 3 times. I'm telling you, it doesn't.
It does.
Well,
maybe you missed an episode.
I just watch it in order on Hulu, the way it plays.
Yeah, because I watched it on Hulu also.
I'm gonna pull it up because I'm
the second so the first episode of season 2 is where they're doing the Olympics, right?
Right.
So they end season 1 with the strike, right?
Right.
The first episode of season 2, they're doing the Superstore Olympics, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second episode of that season is actually titled Strike, where they kind of go back and explain it.
Because of the continuation. But they go on strike, there's the Olympics episode, and then they continue the strike.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that one-off episode in there where there's no strike, is what I'm saying.
No, like I said, they went back and kind of explained how Glenn got his job back and all that.
Yeah, that's all explained, but there's that weird episode in the middle, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I
didn't have a fucking problem with it either. I was asking.
Why'd you bring it up then? Yeah, of course I noticed it. But then you were there. Then you're like, oh, then they didn't even explain the strike. Yeah, they did.
No, I said that the episode Olympics, episode 1 of season 2, has nothing to do with the strike. Episode 2 does, but not episode 1.
I think they actually I think it was partly in the Olympics episode also. I'd have to go back and watch it, but it has been like 2 months since I watched it.
The end of the season, they go on strike. They walk out.
I know. I know. That's how the season ended.
And then the next episode, they're in the break room having a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And then just goes on as a normal episode. And then season 2, episode 2, starts with them in the parking lot at the beginning of the strike. So it's like,
episode 1.
Weird.
No, I don't think it was. Episode 1 takes place prior to the strike.
Right. But it doesn't. Why?
So?
Why?
TV series do all sorts of crazy shit all the time with timelines.
Not when they're not syndicated.
You just find the weirdest shit to fucking pick on. You know that?
It was weird to me.
It's a TV episode. Who gives a shit?
It was weird. That'd be like Friends. They rush off to England to stop Rachel from saying that she's still in love with Ross. And then the next episode is the one where it's a Thanksgiving episode. And then they go back and the next week it's a fucking London episode again.
Who gives a shit? It's entertainment, man.
You have very low standards.
No, I don't. I just don't get worked up over stupid shit.
I'm not worked up. I just thought I was curious if you even noticed it.
Well, by the way you're raising your voice, Ian, and you're talking.
I was raising my voice, and you're talking. You said you didn't.
You're talking in a higher octave. You're like, hey, I don't get all worked up. I don't get all worked up.
Do I really sound like that?
No, you're just making.
If I sound like that, I'm never talking again. I just thought it was weird. It was odd. It was an odd occurrence, and I was wondering if you noticed it. And then you said they didn't exist, and then I was getting angry.
By the way, me doing that voice, that was a Friends reference, but. Remember where after Ross finds out that Joey and Rachel are.
Hey, It's fine.
I'm fine.
Man.
I'm fine. I don't know why my voice is getting this high. I don't know. I'm fine.
Right.
So,
that's
Friends reference.
Yeah, gotta love the Friends.
I haven't watched Friends in a while. It's one of those shows that probably once a year I kind of go through the whole series, but I haven't.
Well, I did my Friends binge at the end of last year, so
Yeah.
I'm good probably for, well, at least I don't know because it's not. Is it on HBO Max now? Is that what it's going to be on?
When does HBO Max go into effect? When does that start?
July, I think.
Yeah, that's when it's going to be on. I don't know. I own all the seasons digitally, so
yeah, I'll probably end up doing something like that too, just because. If we can't rely on where it's going to be, because it's not on Netflix anymore, right? It's completely off Netflix. Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably just do what you did.
Yeah. I mean, you can always watch it on, what is it, TBS? I think that shows that airs Friends every day.
Does it air it in order?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
You're one of those crazy commercial people too, anti-commercial people.
Yeah.
I can't watch anything that has commercials.
I didn't say I can because I do.
Damn your information.
Trying to sell me fucking Coca-Cola or
who gives a shit?
Tampons isn't information, Nick. I don't like.
They're just trying to sell you shit. Whatever.
I don't want it.
It's like just reeling you in, man.
I know. I'm fine.
But going back to our topic, though, I find it really interesting that you've got an industry that really thrived during the Great Depression and was one of the big things that helped people make it through the Great Depression.
Right.
Because they were able to provide, cheap, affordable entertainment, and it's completely shut down now.
Mm.
And so it's gonna be interesting, kind of moving forward. I think it's probably an industry that's really going to have to make huge adjustments to kind of survive and come out the other end of this. Because, like I said, it's not something that's going to happen over the next couple of months. This is something that's going to take several years before we kind of see the full effect of the impact.
Well, because there's a danger that if the movie theaters can't open up, then a lot of these movie companies are going to, whether they're forced to or not, they're going to release their movies VOD.
Yeah,
which still isn't necessarily an ideal plan, but it'll cut their profits, but it'll eliminate the theaters altogether.
Yeah. What was the big one that did that? Was it Trolls?
Trolls and something else, but they were both Universal films.
Yeah.
And Universal did okay with those movies. They made money, not a lot, but they did make money doing that way. And they had said that they were open to doing this with more titles going forward, even after the pandemic is over or the quarantine is over. And what they were talking about was doing same day VOD. So if a movie is scheduled to come out on September 1st, it'll come out in the theaters, but it'll also be available on VOD that same day.
Yeah.
And AMC, the national AMC, said that as a result of that statement, they would go forward with not showing any Universal movies in their theaters.
Yeah,
in their theater chain.
Which is stupid.
Yeah, but if you rely on those big movies, because we're talking Fast and Furious, which are crap movies, but they bring people in.
Yeah.
It's the big movies
speaking of Fast and Furious, the next one's actually been postponed because of the shutdown.
Yeah. But I mean, a movie like that, it's not so much about them making money off of that movie because it's going to bring people in, but the fact that the people are in the seats, they're buying the popcorn, they're buying the sodas. But it's what the theaters rely on. So you're basically saying, well, we're going to end up cutting half of the asses in your seats. We're going to still make profit on it, but you're not going to make any money. You're not going to make anything else.
So what AMC is going to do is they're going to cut off their nose to spite their face.
Because they still have Warner Brothers, they still have Paramount, they still have Fox, they still have Disney.
You're still taking a major motion picture company and saying we're not going to show any, even though you're still going to show your movies everywhere else, and now we're just going to drive all the people that would come here to our movies theaters and at least buy concessions where they make a pretty decent profit on.
Mm-hmm.
and they're going
I'm
to
not
go
saying it was the right
spend
idea. I'm just saying that, and it's probably more of a tactic than an actual threat.
And from the numbers I'm seeing online, it looks like a pretty poor tactic because the budget for Trolls World Tour was $90 million. Do you know what the worldwide gross is on it so far? Just take a guess.
Well, it was in theaters, so that most numbers might just be based on box office, not on VOD numbers.
It was released VOD. It was not in movie theaters.
I thought it was.
No.
For like a week or two. Well,
I don't think it was.
I don't know. I would verify.
Looking at these numbers, they couldn't have been released in theaters. 2.6 million. 2.6 million is the worldwide gross on a movie without a $90 million budget.
Right.
So I would say if your plan is to release movies VOD, it's a last case scenario. It's got to be because they're not going to make money on it.
Universal came out and said that they were planning on going forward with marketing it that way. Going forward,
I think being able to do like some kind of hybrid between the two, and possibly I thought so when Trolls World Tour came out, I thought they kind of sold themselves short on the video on demand by only charging $20 to rent it.
Right. Well, some estimates are saying it's going to be more like 50 going forward.
Something like that might work better. To do a hybrid system between actual theatrical releases and then charging something like $40 or $50. Because I was thinking, it probably should have been maybe 30 or 40, but still, $40 or $50 to rent it. You're still gonna have people that are going to do the video on demand, but it'll make up for anything that you're going to lose as far as ticket sales.
Right.
Because a lot of people probably looked at $20 to rent the movie. And I forgot how long the rental was for, 24, 48 hours, whatever it was. The people probably looked at that and said, well, shit, I'll wait, a month, 2 months and pay $20 and own the movie instead of, renting it.
I can see the benefit of it.
If it's done right.
Well, I can, what I'm thinking is I see the benefit. I see the benefit to the consumer. I don't see the benefit to the studios.
No,
unless they can guarantee that they can prevent piracy from the downloads from the VOD, which they cannot do right now. Something goes VOD, you can download it within 24 hours. You can download it for free on the pirate sites. So unless they can guarantee that they can eliminate that, they're not going to make any money on VOD. And I don't really think it would boost their numbers that much to do same day VOD either.
No.
I don't think it's a good marketing strategy, again, unless they can eliminate the piracy element. Yeah. But as far as the consumer goes, because even people who are willing to pay that, there are movies that come to the theater that I probably would be willing to pay $50 to see to avoid having to go to the movie theater. Because I can watch it whenever I want. I don't have to go by their time clock or, stand in line or any of that bullshit. I can come home from work, or I can be up, because I work nights, so I'm up at 3:00 in the morning and go, oh man, that came out today. I can fucking watch that.
You can sit in your living room and watch it, not to deal with some jackass right next to you munching on popcorn the whole time. And
you'd be the jackass. You'd be the jackass eating the candy corn.
Well, I meant candy, and I was gonna say popcorn. So
right
there, Ian.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't know. It's
But yeah, I would definitely see a benefit to. Yeah, absolutely. There's movies I'd pay $50 to be able to sit at home and watch it.
Right. But then there's other movies that I would much rather see on the big screen for the first time. So it's got to be a toss up. The problem is the pie is set. The pie is one size. If you start divvying it up in different directions in different ways, it thins it out for everybody.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And then you throw in a quarantine and a pandemic. I don't know. What do you think the likelihood of movie studios declaring bankruptcy?
I don't know. The only one that I could see, and I doubt they would. I know Disney is kind of nervous about their future.
Yeah.
Just because of what they're losing from the theme parks.
Yeah, but that's one section. If they're like
and
any
that's
other
why
corporation, I'm assuming they're.
I don't see Disney ever having to file bankruptcy. Obviously, I could see it get to a point where Disney might have to sell off assets, though.
Well, I mean, like any business, even if you're diversified, wherever there's a loss of money, it's got to be made up somewhere. Even if you shut it off and cut it out, there's still a breakdown across the board. But, and yeah, the theme parks are because they're not going to. They've already said they're not opening theme parks till next year.
I think so. Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything definite, but that's what my understanding is, though.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. I think. The smaller movie smaller companies, film companies,
they're going to take a big hit.
They're going to take a big hit, but see, a lot of them kind of already do VOD anyway. If you're talking like really small companies,
yeah,
the direct to DVD companies, which have kind of all switched to VOD anyway.
Yeah,
they're all going to be fine.
Yeah, because they're already used to this is kind of business as usual.
Business as usual. They're used to making $1 million movie and making maybe $2 million on it.
Yeah. Which actually isn't a bad gig,
Not really, not in the grand scheme. What do you think it's gonna? This is the one question, because money's one thing and money drives it all. But what do you think it's going to do for quality? Do you think the quarantine, people being stuck at home, writers, producers, having this time to maybe sit down and, where they would have been on the set of a movie, not having to be on a set, sit down and be able to write? Do you think we might get a kind of a boost of quality and things? Not to say that there was a question, not to say that shit was bad, but for
Some
example, yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But for example, TV really started to change after the strike of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2008? Yeah, I think it was 2008.
Yeah, I think it was.
Or 2006, whatever. It was that.
Whatever. Somewhere around there.
But, before that, yeah, you had shows like The Sopranos and things like that. But after that is when you start getting shows like Game of Thrones and, I don't like it, but Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, things that are hugely popular and are kind of put up on a pedestal for their writing.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Netflix has a lot to do with that. Binge watching kind of has a lot to do with that. But it makes you wonder if maybe that, because there was a really big surge of quality shit that came out after that. I wonder if there's going to be a similar situation. And in this sense,
we can only hope.
Not just with TV, but with films as well.
Yeah. We can only hope. I mean,
I think I even mentioned that on the music one, or because artists who would normally be on the road are not on the road right now. Does that mean they're home writing music that they wouldn't have written otherwise,
Yeah. I don't know. We're going to find out.
Yeah. The only movie I give a shit about this year, really, is Halloween Kills. That's scheduled for October 16th.
Yeah.
The thing is, with that one, you can't back that one up to January.
You can.
You could. They won't. They want it. They want it to be a Halloween release. Yeah. So if that gets backed up, that gets backed up to 2021.
Next year.
October of 2021.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna be interesting kind of going forward. I know that something I didn't really think of till just recently, when we first started talking about this topic, was the impact that all this is going to have on advertising companies. Because for the most part, the advertising on major sporting events, things like March Madness, the Olympics, bring in big amounts of money per commercial for advertising. Well, all that's gone right now. So that's, that loss of revenue, I think, is going to hurt a lot of those companies also.
Well, I heard that the Major League Baseball has a plan that starts the season in June, I think.
Yeah.
But it's the players are playing to no crowds.
Mm-hmm.
It's all strictly for broadcast, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's what they do. I don't think the teams make that much money on butts in the seats, do they?
Yeah,
I mean, they do.
They do.
But they're big. The well, I guess that's where the teams make the money, whereas Major League Baseball makes the money on the advertising, right?
Well, teams do also because teams have individual contracts, things like that.
So then they'll be all right because they'll still have
No,
the
it's
advertising
still
revenue.
a massive loss of revenue not having people at games.
Right.
Plus, the other thing is instead of playing 160 some games of baseball,
They're doing
they
82, I think,
or something like that, or
that's
110 or 120. But there's
no,
going
it
to be
was in the 80s. It was like 82 or 83 games.
the one I saw this morning. The one I saw just this morning was like 133 games. Was another proposal. There's nothing set in stone yet.
Okay, that's what I misunderstood because what I was hearing was the commissioner had planned 82 games starting in June. No one in the stadium zone was what I heard. So
yeah, there's gonna be no one in games, but yeah, I mean, let's take the Tigers for instance. If you're averaging 25,000 people a game, for 82 games or 81 games, that's a big loss,
right?
Because they've got.
Do you think the Tigers were doing that well?
I don't know. I just threw them out there.
Okay.
They have averaged that kind of those numbers before.
Oh yeah, when they were doing good, but they tend to, the seats tend to go
fine. If you want to go short, I mean, they've got to be averaging at least 17,000 people a game. But you take that 17,000 people at an average ticket price of 40 some bucks, plus when you add in parking, because the Tigers own all the parking lots around there, plus concessions, that's a big fucking number for half a season's 81 games.
Right. Huh. So now, do you suspect that there could be issues with teams disappearing as a result of this?
No.
You don't think that they could go bankrupt under the same circumstances?
No, not unless something like this happened over a multiple season.
Well, let's say theoretically. So, how much of the NBA season did they play?
3/4 of it.
Okay. So they lost, say, 25% of the season. Now, say this all happens again in the fall, like you'd mentioned, and there is no NBA season the next year. So now they've lost a whole season plus a quarter of a season. You don't think there's teams that would go under as a result of that?
No, probably more than likely they wouldn't.
So what's protecting them?
The almighty dollar.
But where's the dollar coming from? Is what I point.
The fact that they're all owned by billionaires.
So because they can just pump the money in.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, these players aren't getting paid. The players aren't getting paid.
No, they're
not.
So
what happens when they start running out of money?
Well, I mean, they're all millionaires, so they probably shouldn't run out of money pretty quickly.
They're all millionaires, but they live in $1 million houses and drive, $500,000 cars.
I know.
These things still need to be paid for.
I know. As Patrick Ewing said a long time ago, the more money they make, the more money you spend. Right. I know.
So you see a lot of players.
I don't see this. I even if a season gets canceled this year, I don't see a continuation of that. I think they would make some kind of adjustment moving forward into next season.
Right. Because ultimately the fear that you were talking about for movie theaters has to be greater for sporting events. Either that or people are going to ignore it more because it's sporting events.
I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. So it's going to be interesting to see moving forward for sure. Because I know one of the proposals that they were talking about baseball was because baseball spring training, I don't know if you know this or not, but it takes place in 2 different places. You've got the Cactus League in Arizona and the Grapefruit League in Florida. And you got half the teams that play in Arizona, half the teams play in Florida, and they kind of play within those teams that have spring training facilities in those areas. So one of the proposals was that they would actually play the baseball season this year with one league being in Arizona, one league being in California. I'm sorry, the other league being in Florida, and just playing amongst those teams there. So I mean, even if the season got canceled this year and was threatened next year, I think that they would move to something like that because they would have all the players in those facilities. They could all kind of lock them down in that area for the season and kind of play in that area and be able to at least televise the games and make some kind of money.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I said,
because baseball,
I don't know.
Baseball has a revenue sharing program, right? So the league takes all the money that every team makes every year, and they split it equally amongst all the teams.
Really?
So yeah,
it's not based on viewership.
No, it's all revenue sharing. So, and that's why that's
good. It's good for smaller teams, but
yeah,
teams don't have the money. But it's kind of odd that they do it that way.
It's to prevent the New York Yankees from basically buying up all the players every single year and winning every year.
But they were doing that anyway.
Which is what they did for like 100 years, and that's why they
right. I mean, it doesn't sound like that's. Even I know that that's what they were doing. So.
That's why they put a system like that in place to kind of help smaller market teams be able to compete.
Right. Okay.
And I'm sure there's exemptions to that, and ways that teams are able to get around some of that revenue sharing. But still, it's for the most part they're making equal money across the board.
Right. Well, the Yankees are still going to, because they're a heritage team, they're a legacy team, right? I mean, I don't know what else you would call them, but. I would say that Yankee Stadium is always full, or at least relatively full.
For the most part.
Whereas Tiger Stadium, on a Tuesday afternoon, may not even hit 10,000.
No, Tiger Stadium on a Tuesday afternoon has 0 people in the stadium.
Why?
Because it doesn't exist anymore, Ian.
Well, yeah, all right, Comerica Park, whatever. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
You said it.
I did say it. You knew what I meant, though.
I knew what you meant.
So Comerica Park.
Come on, you can give me the finger for that one. Yeah, there you go.
Comerica Park.
I gave it to you earlier, so what the hell?
That's right. Comerica Park on a Tuesday afternoon may not even hit 10,000, whereas the Yankee game,
Ian, we've been in that ballpark before when there's been like 4,000 people in there, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember that one game. There was, I would almost say there was probably like less than 1,000 people.
You could probably count that game. Well, yeah. So Ian and I and our friend Corey went to a Tigers game.
2003.
Yeah, it was the season that they almost broke the record for most losses in a season, and it was the second to last game of the year. They're playing the Minnesota Twins, who won the division that year and had actually already won the division at this point. So the Twins actually sat a lot of their better players. And if the Tigers lose this game, the Tigers tied the record for the most losses. The Tigers were down 7-1. And, I mean, even to start the game, there probably wasn't a whole lot. Maybe there's definitely less than 8,000 people in the stands.
Oh, yeah.
To start that game.
It wasn't very crowded.
So the Tigers are down 7-1 in like the 6th inning. And you could see people just leaving.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where the three of us walked down and we're sitting the second row right next to the Tigers dugout.
Yeah,
we had paid $9 to sit in the bleachers, and we're
got a free hot dog and a soda.
Yes, and we're sitting right next to the Tigers dugout. The Tigers make this incredible run and actually win the game on a walk-off stolen home plate. It was like fireworks going off. It was like they'd won the fucking World Series.
Yeah.
It was a great game to be at.
It was very exciting. It was very, very exciting.
Yeah. Stole home to win the game.
Yep. Yeah, they ended up winning because you said 7-1. They ended up winning the game 8-7.
Yeah.
By 1 point, by that one run.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was a crazy fucking game.
Old Dirty Sanchez stole home when they got it. Man, that was a great game. I don't know what the guy's first name was. His last name was Sanchez, so I was called Dirty Sanchez.
Fair enough.
And actually, I think we started that game off. So we got the bleacher seats, and we started the game off sitting like up behind first base.
First base, yep.
Like actually, it was more towards like right field. And I think it was the same game because I think we were like making fun of Bobby Higginson because I'm pretty sure he like tried to steal second base and got thrown out, and we were just like, I was heckling the shit out of him.
Yeah, you and Corey both were.
Oh, Bummy Higginson.
That was a good day.
We went to a bunch of Tigers games back in the day, but yeah, there was definitely not a lot of people in the stands at the end of that game.
No, but the ones who were there will never forget that day.
Yep, absolutely. It was a hell of a finish.
Never will, anyway. So, and I'm not even a big sports guy, but I do like baseball a lot, and that was. I'm
telling you, man, there's nothing like, even if you're not a big baseball fan,
right?
There's nothing like sitting out in a baseball stadium on a nice sunny afternoon day, eating a hot dog,
even a nice hot warm evening.
Oh yeah, eating those steamed ballpark hot dogs, eating a pretzel. Corey and I used to keep score of the game. So that was cool because that was something I'd never done before. Corey had to show me how to keep score, so that was kind of cool. I don't know. It's just a nice, relaxing day. Yeah, but that was also when you paid $9 and your ticket came with a free hot dog and a free drink.
Right, exactly.
And if you wanted to buy a sweatshirt, it was $45.
Yeah, because that was the same. Was that the same time?
I don't think
it was chilly. It might not have been because we went to another game, and Corey, our friend, was he didn't wear a jacket. It was slightly chilly, so he was like, "I'm gonna go buy a sweatshirt," and they were like, I don't know, 45, 50, whatever. And they didn't say dollars; they said 50. And Corey was like, "Pesos?"
That was great.
Implying that only pesos were going to count here because that's all he wasn't going to be able to pay $50.
Yeah, that's so. I can't wait for sports to come back and get back to normalcy.
For you, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not missing anything, but because I don't watch sports on TV.
I miss the normalcy of it.
Right now, I heard that Germany has opened their soccer stadiums up.
Yep, they played today.
Did they?
Yeah.
Same thing though. The stadiums are empty.
Empty. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the Bundesliga started today. So, I will say that kind of wrapping this up because we're kind of running long. Is really the one winner from all this has been news networks.
Yeah, because no one has anything else to do.
Well, CNN said that they have tripled their primetime audience in like their key demographics. MSNBC said that their viewership has gone up 60%. And Fox News said that their viewership has gone up 90%. I'm sorry, that's not according to them. That's according to Nielsen.
Right, because if Fox News gave their own numbers, it'd be way higher.
Yeah. Our numbers have gone up 7 million%.
Right.
Everyone in the world is watching Fox News now.
Yep.
Twice.
24 hours a day. Yes. 48 hours a day.
And 5 times on Sunday.
Right.
That's all I got, man.
I know. We kind of veered off on subjects and had a little argument.
Really?
I think that was our first remote argument.
It was.
Our
first quarantine argument. Well, cheers. Here's to our online argument.
I just got a soda, but sure.
It's in a red Solo cup, so you can say whatever you want.
Well, I
drink a moonshine.
I could have put some Jack in it or something, but
yeah. It's not bad. Doesn't sound too bad right now.
No, it doesn't. I was actually thinking that when I went like that, I was like, man, this is missing something. So, because I haven't had Jack and Coke in ages.
Whenever so back in the day when I used to work midnights, the same shift Ian works, there's a little restaurant by the hospital we work at that serves alcohol at 7:00 in the morning. So there'd be, on several occasions, we'd go out for breakfast, a group of us in the morning. Yeah, I'd be eating my breakfast buffet and have my Jack and Coke.
Yeah, see, I'm not big on drinking and eating. If I'm drinking, I'm drinking.
Really?
If I'm eating, I'm eating. I don't.
Yeah.
I've never been able to do both together. Beer and pizza never works for me. Beer and a burger, no. If I want to drink, I just drink.
Huh.
If I don't, I just I eat and have a soda. I don't know why. There's just something about I don't get the combo of flavor. Yeah. It doesn't taste. Food and beer don't taste. Food and alcohol doesn't taste right to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, man, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, or anything else to argue about?
No. Just clarification. I get it. People are struggling. I wasn't being an asshole.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I was just asking for some perspective. That's all.
Well, anyway, any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@ligpodcast.us. By the way, I still have to look at that now since I changed the email address.
Better get it right, jackass.
Well, I've been saying the other one for 2.5 years or 3 years, whatever it's been. So
well, I'm just tired of carrying your ass on all the details here.
Yeah, I bet. All right, fine. Here's a test, Ian. Since you can't see my screen, what's our Twitter handle?
Never see your screen anyway.
Where can they find us on Twitter at?
LIG Pod.
Yes, at LIG Pod. On Facebook, we're Life and General Podcast.
Yeah.
We're on Podbean, Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us through Apple, go leave us a 5-star review. If you're watching us on, Ian is holding up his 6 fingers
and playing with my capo.
And
I was messing with my guitar today.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, give us where's my camera?
Thumbs up in the
thumbs
bottom.
Up.
Thumbs up, subscribe, notifications. Or we will hunt you down and make you listen to us in person.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be very fun.
Especially for them.
Yeah. Check us out on Spotify too. Our numbers keep growing on Spotify, and so keep listening to the show on there. I don't know if you review anything on Spotify.
You can download it. I think you get credit for downloading it. I think.
Yeah. But well, all right, man, that's all I got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you some GoPros, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, them niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub. Hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit. Watch out, you the god, Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement to your eye. Niggas sick as fuck. Standing with niggas who down for that party. Who down for some bitches who showing their bodies. Swear to God, nigga, this Molly got me up and rolling. These bodies of water. Bring that shit in bottles. We mash at the party. They hate when we styling.